Your mission matters more than your girlfriend. I love starting videos with controversial statements like that. Let me just break that down, okay? What does mission mean, right? What I mean by that is the general term that I say we in the self-improvement community like to assign to the thing that we want to do with our lives, right? Normally we ask this kind of question, what is it that you want to do, right? If it was, even regardless of money, regardless of what it kind of gave you in return in terms of the return on investment, is that something you would keep doing? So typically people answer this question in terms of, I want to help other people. I want to specifically help other people in terms of medicine. I want to be a doctor. I want to specifically help people with their productivity like I do. I want to help people with, maybe not even help people, maybe even help animals, right? I want to preserve nature areas and things like that. I want to get rid of plastics from the ocean. I want to do this thing, and this is my life's mission, right? That's a nice phrase for it. Life's mission, right? So there's a celebrity and his life's mission was XYZ, right? That's what mission means when I refer to the mission in this statement, right? Your mission matters more than your girlfriend, right? And I say that to be more controversial because that is a statement that very much so it made me feel very strange about it, right? When I first heard it, I was like, that's interesting. Instinctively, when I heard that, I was like, no, that can't be true, right? It was from a reputable source. I read it in the first few chapters of a book called The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. A very good book, a very kind of controversial and more spiritual book. Not something I resonated with, instantly, but I had to kind of wrangle and wrestle with the ideas, which I love, by the way. I like reading about ideas that are different from the ideas that I might have myself because I have an opportunity to learn there, right? So, back to that statement, right? The premise being here, your mission matters more than your girlfriend. If your girlfriend, wife, husband, whoever, right? If you had your mission and they said, I'd like you to stop pursuing that. I'd like you to stop doing that in your life. What is your response? Right? Do you say, oh, okay then, because I love you, I'll stop doing my life's work? They're kind of making you choose between your mission and them, right? It's either me or it's your business. It's either me or your, whatever you want to do in life, right? It's either me or your acting. It's either me or your music career. It's either me or your, business career, whatever it is, right? And when it comes to that, I know it's a very uncomfortable conversation to have. It's a very tough thing to even think about. You don't even want to think about that kind of thing happening because my girlfriend wouldn't say that. My wife wouldn't say that. My husband wouldn't say that. But that happens. It's no use trying to bury your head in the sand here and pretend that never happens and to never be prepared for it. Because the truth is that does happen, and it's better to prepare than to just assume it will never happen, right? And like cover our hands over our ears and our eyes and just pretend we never saw it or never conceived of it even being a thing. Because you're aware of it now, right? So it can and probably will happen. And then what are you going to do about it? Right? Is it your mission, your life's work, or is it your person? Right? What's more important there? Right? And this is super controversial, right? Especially the way I said it. And the conclusion I've come to in my life is that your mission matters above all else. Right? Because think about it. Are you going to destroy the meaning of your own life for the sake of another person? That person might be the most important person in the world to you. But if they are going to take away your entire purpose of life, then that cannot lead anywhere nice. Not for you, not for the people around you. It doesn't work. That is something sacred to you that you should hold paramount above other people and their feelings, right? And the reason I talk about this is because a lot of people that I talk to are influenced easily by their friends and their family to pursue a career that suits them, that suits the family, that suits the friends. They don't ever think about themselves in terms of what do I want to do, right? They think, oh, what do my parents want me to do? What do my friends want me to do? Right? And that can really damage a person's life and waste someone's time, because they will wake up one day after a 40-year career and think, I've not enjoyed a single day of that because it wasn't something that I wanted to do. It was something my parents wanted me to do. It was something that my friends wanted me to do. Right? It was something that my wife, my girlfriend wanted me to do. Right? And beyond that, even that sad, crushing feeling, that sad, crushing story of this person's life, the parents don't necessarily care that much. The friends don't necessarily care that much. The wife and the husband, they don't necessarily care that much. In fact, it might even lead to less respect for this individual, right? Because if you are so whimsical about your structure of life, about what you do in life, that you are swayed by the opinions of other people, by the opinions of your parents, your friends. I know these are important people, girlfriend, wife. If you are swayed by that so easily that you give up your entire life's ambitions, your entire work of life, your life's work, your life's mission, then the people's respect for that will decrease, right? If you change so easily. And the opposite of true, the opposite is true if you choose to stick to your guns, if you choose to stay in that area of life that you really want to do, despite receiving so much hate, right? I think about this, right? Let's say there's a person who wants to do something as person A, and person B who wants to do a very similar thing, right? And person A receives a lot of hate, right, from other people, or just generally people wanting to change his mind to do something else. Don't do that thing, do something else, right? But person A sticks to his guns despite receiving so much hate and receiving so much, animosity and people wanting to change his mind. He still pursues that path, and he goes on to achieve great things in that path because he's so dedicated, he's so persistent, despite people trying to drag him down, despite people trying to change his path. He goes on and he achieves those things. And then person B, right? Person B has these same dreams, but he lets those voices get to him. He lets those voices of hatred and people changing his mind get to him. So he just does whatever everyone else accepts as okay to do. Well, he goes on to do something that is acceptable, and one that tends to be a more average thing, because if you're going to do something special, then that's typically what's hated. So he has to dumb down or like reduce the specialty of his dreams so that he can pursue something that everyone else can get along with. That's one. And then two, he changed his mind, crushed his own dreams to satisfy other people. Inherently, there's less respect. For me, at least, the way I see it. Right? Less respect to be had. And the people who respect you as well, they're people who, even if you told your girlfriend at that point, if that girlfriend asked you the question of, it's either me or your dancing career, for example, right? And I said, oh, it's my dancing career, if that was the thing that I wanted to do, right? Even if she hated me for that, she'd have more respect for me. And who knows, later down the line, she might come around to say, you know what, I'm glad you stuck to your guns because it's clearly something you love doing and it's worked out really well. And I'm sorry for trying to change your mind about that. There's so much more respect there. Because the truth is, if you want to do something special, if you want to do something that's worthwhile in this world, in this universe, in this lifetime, then you are going to receive hatred. And it might come from the people close to you. Hatred or mind changing or like do something else, those kind of voices, you're going to receive those voices. And the more special your thing that you're doing is, the more hate that you're going to get. Look at these big people like Elon Musk and Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. They revolutionized the way we live life. And look at the amount of hatred they get, or they got, right? They changed our, like the iPhone, for example, the smartphone. I'm recording this on a smartphone. The electric car, Elon Musk, right? Like computers and things like this. People who like invented these things, they've done something that special with their lives. And of course, when they were developing these things, oh, that's impossible. You can't, stop wasting your time creating this impossible thing. Or like going after this impossible idea, this impossible dream. You're wasting our time. You're wasting my time. Choose between, creating this revolutionary piece of tech, which is the iPhone, or me, right? Imagine Steve Jobs' wife saying that. And imagine if he chose his wife over his mission at that point, right? These super ambitious and driven individuals, can you imagine them choosing that option? Choosing their girlfriend over their mission, right? And this is not to say that people don't matter. I'm not saying that. I have feelings. I'm a real person. I'm not just like a hard-minded business discipline guy. People matter, of course. I'm not saying that they don't matter. But when it comes to, when it comes to making that decision, when push comes to shove, then you need to know what matters more. Because if you don't, then people's default normally is people pleasing. I'll just people please here, and it's okay that I'm not pursuing my dreams. And we default to that, right? Because they do matter in our lives, and if I can make them happy now, then that's good, right? Whereas the dreams might take time to get to a level of fruition, and they might be sad for a period of time. It's kind of like a instant gratification, just to say, oh yeah, I'll quit my dreams. But to delay the gratification and say, no, I need to pursue these dreams. They're more important to me. That's a better decision to make if you want to live a life that is purposeful and full of fulfillment. And a life in which you achieve something special. These people care about you, right? But sometimes they might not understand what it is to you. So sometimes it's like a test. It's like them saying, okay, how much does this mean to you? Right? If I want to push you a little bit. I want to kind of poke you and see what you say, right? That can be the case in relationships, certainly, right? Especially when you're newly with somebody, when you just get into a relationship, they're going to see, okay, who is this guy? Who is this man? Who is this woman? He has this dream that he talks about, but let me see if I can challenge that. They don't think this consciously, by the way. They'll just do it, right? In the same way that a child might experiment and cause a bit of trouble to see what the parent says. The child isn't thinking necessarily, I'm going to cause trouble in order to find out what I can do and what I can't do. He just does, or she just does, right? This is the same in dating. It's the same in relationships, right? You might just, do different things, and naturally your actions are random. And so you kind of find out what is acceptable and what is not within that arrangement, right? And so if they poke and prod you and they say, look, I don't know how I feel about your dream. What are you doing here? What's the purpose of this? And they'll question you. right? And they'll test you. And the way I see it now, after having received a lot of this kind of experience, and trust me, I have plenty of experience in this area from people very close to me, is that I am now grateful for this. Grateful looking back and grateful through those experiences, because it allowed me and gave me the opportunity to be able to strengthen my arguments as to why I'm doing this thing. Because I'm going to need to do that anyway, right? If I want to, sell my dream or sell my product, or like convince people that I'm good enough as an actor or a dancer or a musician, whatever the career I choose, I need to be able to sell that and have the confidence in myself to be able to sell that, right? So when people say, oh, how likely is this thing to succeed? Well, I've thought about it, right? I've run these calculations, and I think that if I do this, this, and this, then I can definitely get signed by this label and I can achieve money by this time, right? And then they're like, they haven't thought that far, right? But you have, right? So it forces you to get your ducks in a row in terms of the reasoning of why you're doing this thing. Because you will be asked that. If you're doing something special, like if Steve Jobs was asked, for example, like, why are you doing this thing? Well, because it will revolutionize the world, right? Because it will, so if this piece of technology will allow people to do this, and that would mean that they can do this, this, and this, right? They can have apps on their phone, and they can, call people and text people and have apps there that might be able to do different things. And he would be able to like talk about that. And clearly, right? There are clips, dozens of clips online of Steve Jobs at these kind of, what are they called? These conferences where he kind of exhibits his new product, right? And he'll get people saying things like, why are you doing that? Or this isn't good, or this is bad, or whatever. And the readiness with which he's able to reply with a very pithy statement as to why, he does what he does, right? Because, in these kind of conference things, they'll pass around a microphone in the audience, and the audience members will say something. And sometimes they're very mean things. They're very kind of like targeted, kind of like, basically saying like, Steve Jobs, you're wrong about this, you're wrong about that. And he will be able to answer very articulately and very readily, because he's clearly thought about this for a very long time, right? And so when those people close to you say something about your dream, right? Because if your dream is big enough, people will say something. It's not a question of if, they will. It's a question of when, right? I don't know a single person in the world who hasn't been questioned on his ideas, if they are special ideas, special dreams, something different to what everyone else is doing. You will be questioned. And it's just a case of, are you prepared or are you not? Right? And so if you look at it as something to be grateful for, it will provide you with the opportunity to go back to the drawing board and think, okay, my wife asked me this question, like, maybe I can come up with a better answer for that. And you sit at night and you type up an answer and you think, okay, here's why I'm doing this, because I want to help people in this way, and I will do it through this means, I'll make money with this way, right? Like I remember when I first started posting videos on YouTube, there was a lot of hate there, and there were like legitimate questions, right? How are you going to make money this way? Like, aren't you worried about the perception of other people, that you might, go and work for other companies and they might see your YouTube channel and they might be thinking weird things about you? Aren't you concerned about, the fact that, you might be famous? Isn't that a concern for you? Like, what is it that you're trying to do in the world? How exactly are you going to help people? Are you just searching for fame? Are you just searching for money? What is this for? And these are all legitimate concerns. And you have to take it at face value. You have to assume that, okay, this person that I love is probably looking out for the best of me, even if they're being like very hateful and spiteful about it, and vitriolic in terms of the language, and like pointing the finger. Just take it at face value. Just answer the question at face value, right? Even if it's a very hateful question, it's so much better, and it puts them at ease as well, right? If you answer like a hateful question, like, for example, if you were asked a question like, why, I'm trying to think of a hateful question. This is a very difficult thing for me to do because I'm not a very hateful person in general. Why do you, I don't know. Let me just genuinely think about this. Why do you think you're so smart? For example, that's just like something that someone might say on a YouTube comment or something like that, or a person close to me might say that about me because I post YouTube videos about something that is like educative. You think you're so smart, right? And I just answer like, well, I guess I think I'm smart enough to be able to say something, but I always think I have more to learn, to be honest with you. I think I need to make that clear in my videos, to be honest with you, that I always have more to learn, and I'm just talking about my own experiences. And yeah, perhaps I do think I'm smart, but yeah, I always try to keep humble. So yeah, thank you for reminding me about that. Right? If you say something like that to someone, then what can they say? Like, I've just tried to insult this person, and he returned it by saying, "You're right, and thank you." Like, how can you continue insulting when someone says that? Right? When you just accepted it and said, yeah, cool, awesome. It's powerful. It's such a powerful thing. So there's the mission, and there's the people around you. And the reason you choose your mission is because it's the most important thing. And what that leads to is, you pursuing something meaningful in your life, you helping the most people because you're motivated to do that more, rather than this average alternative of a life that everyone might be happy with, right? You will do things that revolutionize the world, like Steve Jobs, like Elon Musk, like all these other people that you look up to, doing something special that is different, that is difficult, that is problematic at times, and for the people that love you, and something that is hard for people to imagine, right? But it results in these things. You are super motivated. You're able to work 12 plus hours a day because you just love this thing. It doesn't feel like work to you, right? You're able to change the world around you and the world that people inhabit because of your crazy, special, like weird, out of this world thoughts and dreams, right? And third, you receive respect even from the people that told you to stop before. And they might not even say it. They might not even say, you know what, I respect what you do despite the fact that I told you to stop. They might just like stay silent and think in their heads like, man, I told this guy to stop like a year ago and he's like still going, right? Like that kind of thought in people's minds. Like I live for that stuff, right? I can kind of like, that really fires me up, right? Just to think, oh yeah, that guy, he told me to stop. He told me this will never work a year ago, and now I'm rolling in money, right? That kind of, I know that's kind of like, a bit of a snarky thought, right? It's kind of like what do you call this? It's just nice to think that sometimes. It's like, yeah, nice. You told me I couldn't make it, but I made it. Right? It's that kind of thing, right? So there's the motivation, the world-changing effect, and the respect, right? And fourth, it's your confidence in what you're doing. It's the test, it's the opportunity, it's the gratitude of that opportunity to be able to explain yourself, right? Because if you never expose yourself to haters, then you'll never know how to improve yourself, really, right? Because the thing is, we think about life in terms of lovers and haters, but in reality, it's a spectrum, right? And it's not necessarily the people themselves, but it's the things that they do and the things that they say that are the hateful or the loving things. Because someone who really loves you can really insult you real bad. In fact, it's the people that are closest to us that can insult us the best, right? I'm sure you know that between, sisters and brothers and, mothers, fathers and wives and husbands. You know that, right? And so it's a spectrum. You know that a hateful comment might include a little nugget of like, okay, he's probably right, and I could do something about that in my life. So cool, I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that, right? So there's opportunity. All this to say, this is why you need to build that resilience of sticking to your one mission, your one life's work. And it includes a lot of different skills. And just to talk about that confidence one, that last one I talked about, I see this way too often, that people are convinced to be someone that they're not. And that's just it's a horrible situation. Because you live a life that's a lie. Just because someone told you to. And it's just so sad. It's so sad. I implore you to think about this, if it's the one thing you take away from this video, right? If you don't know who you are, others will decide for you. Okay? I'll say that one more time. If you don't know who you are, others will decide for you. Okay? So you need to know exactly who you are, what your mission is, right? That's the paramount. I'd say secondarily, your values, and tertiarily, if that's the word for it, your interests in life, right? That's the kind of order in which it matters. Your mission in terms of what you want to do, your values in terms of how you want to get there, your morality, your sense of your moral compass, and your interests are kind of like, what you do in your free time. That doesn't really kind of matter as much, but it is you. It's part of who you are, right? So that's a big part of it. Just having that general confidence and being able to say, yes, that is what I'm doing. Yes, here's why I'm doing it, right? I can explain every single part of what I'm doing exactly, right? And I'm able to take on criticism. I'm able to hear what you're saying and actually extract from it something that's beneficial to me, and even thank you for that, because I'm grateful. And all this turns you into this incredibly powerful force of nature that is almost unstoppable. You have this impenetrable wall of just, hate can't get to me, basically, because what I do with hate is that I filter out the beneficial message, I absorb it, and then discard the rest, right? It's just I've been online for a long time, right? And I've gotten a lot of different messages from people online, from people close to me. And honestly, most of the time, it just makes me laugh. It makes me smile, right? When someone says something negative. I smile and I think, okay. And if I want to explain something, I just explain it. Here's what I want. Here's the answer to your question, if you want to know that answer, right? And what you said, okay, I think that might be a bit right, but here's what I think. And thank you for bringing that up, by the way. I appreciate you commenting. I appreciate you saying that about me. Right? I appreciate you saying something about the video, because it means that someone's thinking about these videos, and so that's my goal here. I just want to encourage people to think about it a bit more. So thank you for continuing the conversation in the comments. Right? I can turn someone else's hatred into my win. I can turn someone else's doubts as to whether I will succeed into my win. I can turn my girlfriend or my wife's doubts, or what do you call this? Opposition, into my win. In that I have the opportunity to explain myself and convince her that what I am doing is important to me. Right? And that is not to say, let me just reiterate this again, that people are important to you. I'm not saying that it always should come to the ultimatum of you choose your mission over your girlfriend. I'm not saying that it always is like that. That's just an example that I kind of chose at the start to kind of make it really visceral and make you really imagine this. Right? In most scenarios, there would be a discussion, right? Look, what is it really that you're uncomfortable with here? Am I spending too much time at work? Okay, maybe I can clock off at 6 and I'll make a promise to you that I'll be home by 6:30. Right? Maybe that's a compromise that we can build with each other, right? Your wife might be saying, I don't see enough of you in the house. You don't spend time with the kids. I'll clock off at 6:30 and I'll spend 6:30 to 9:30 with my kids, and hopefully that's okay, right? Maybe it's a question of, I'm a little bit scared because your career isn't making that much money right now, right? It's a conversation you can have, right? Maybe I'll take this part-time job, I'll borrow some money here, I'll kind of make it work there. And hopefully by this time next year, I will be making this much money, and that should be a comfortable amount for us to survive with and thrive, in fact, right? And so it's a conversation to have. And these aren't easy conversations, of course, they're uncomfortable conversations, but that's where progress is made in relationships, uncomfortable conversations. There's that really famous saying, I love it so much. Easy conversations means a hard life. Hard conversations means an easy life. And what that means is basically that if you are willing to have these hard conversations and go through with them, then your life will be easier. So think about that the next time you receive a bit of hatred, the next time you kind of get into conflict about what your career is, about what you want to do, and how other people feel about that. Even if they are super close to you, even if you care about them a lot, you probably won't have to choose a binary between choosing them or your career. There probably will be some kind of conversation you can come to in which, of course, the missions are more important and you will definitely continue that, but you will deal with whatever is making this person that you care about uncomfortable. Whatever it is that is making this person feel like they want to tell you to stop. Right? It might be money. It might be what their friends think about your job. It might be their concerns about the time you spend with your kids together, right? And you will address those in good time and say the things that make them feel better about those things and bring them comfort, right? I feel especially as a man, it's your job to not only provide for your family, but also make them feel comfortable if they voice concerns and say things like this. And you've got to kind of look after your family in that way. If you believe in the kind of traditional roles of masculine and feminine roles in that sense. So yeah, that's something you can bring to your life the next time you do. Because I know the sort of people that watch these kind of videos shoot for the stars in terms of their dreams and their goals and what they want to do in life, right? This is kind of a podcast aimed at the philosophical entrepreneur, I would say, right? If I had to categorize my podcast into one category, it would be the philosophical entrepreneur, right? And so I know you're probably aiming for something special in life, right? So you will receive hatred and you will receive opposition. You will receive pushback from people you care about. So have a think about this, right? In every video that I put out, always have a think about the thing, but especially here, have a think about it because it's something that people don't think about, because it's something that's uncomfortable to think about. You don't want to think that your girlfriend might tell you to stop doing your dream career. You don't want to think that your wife might say that, your mother might say that, your brothers, your best friend might say that. You don't want to think that, of course not. But spend some time and write down what you might say in response, right? If they have, this type of question or that type of question, how would you respond to that? Kind of have like a role play of what that might go like in your own kind of private time, right? Sometimes I might even like switch this camera on and it will be a video that doesn't go public, but I'll just kind of pretend I'm having a conversation with somebody that might, be opposed to my things, or might hate my stuff, or might have a reason to say, stop doing what you're doing. So have a think about that in your life, because it is incredibly beneficial. And I think you can sense in people that talk about what they do, right? Like, for example, maybe in my videos, you can sense that I have a confidence in what I'm doing and that I'm not doubtful about whether what I'm doing is the right thing for me or not. I'm certain about that, and you can tell, right? So to summarize those points, if I can remember them, right? There is the gratitude and the opportunity to be challenged and to answer those questions. There's the respect you get from others. There's the motivation behind the fact that you are pursuing what you want to pursue. There's the speciality in terms of the dreams that you get to dream and the world-changing effects that they have. And then there was the last one, which is, if I can remember, God, it's lost me. But if you scroll back a few minutes, you'll find it, okay? Oh, that's going to annoy me so much. But those things make it so that the controversial statement I said at the start starts to make sense. Your mission matters more than your girlfriend. Now you're like, oh, okay. Makes sense to me. Fine. Not super controversial anymore. I get it. Right? So with that being said, have a think about that. And it will certainly have some benefit in your life. You'll certainly have something to learn there through that experience, because it will happen. This stuff will happen. So with that being said, keep thinking, take care of yourselves. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.